So we've got now tempering. We're going to temper our chocolate using the table method for Rocky Road. So just to review on tempering, what is tempering? Tempering uses a system of time, movement, and temperature to crystallize chocolate. And the crystal formation that we're after is beta stable. So just in review, chocolate has 6 crystal formations. We are only after the stable crystal, which is crystal number 5. There is support materials and notes and recipes in the chat pod. You can download that Word document. And also, there is also some videos, tutorials on making marshmallow and cutting the marshmallow as part of the inclusion range for this Rocky Road. So we're going to start by just crystallizing the chocolate using the table method. So first step is I want to make sure that the chocolate has decrystallized. It is unpacked. And the way that we do this is that we melt the chocolate to 45 degrees, and then we go ahead and add movement and temperature to crystallize that chocolate. So essentially, if we just use this diagram, 45 degrees, we're going to use time, movement, and temperature. We're going to heat the chocolate up to the 45. And then we're going to cool that back down using time, movement, and temperature until we get into the zone, a temperature zone, where we create beta stable, which is crystal number 5. And we'll be using time, movement, and temperature. So this is how that looks. I've got my chocolate here. And I'm going to decant 3/4 onto the marble slab. So at the moment it's 45 degrees, and now I'm going to use movement and temperature using the table method. So this method, I spread the chocolate out on the marble. The marble is absorbing that energy. It's absorbing the heat. It doesn't absorb and reflect. It just absorbs and removes the heat from the chocolate. And that's essentially how we can cool it down into that temperature zone. So it takes a fair bit of movement. And visually what I'm looking for is the chocolate will thicken. Become viscous. And I don't want lumpy chocolate, but I certainly want crystallized and tempered chocolate. And the only way to really test for that is 2 things. One is temperature, and the other one is time. And I'll definitely take a sample. Take a sample to be able to determine whether it is crystallized. Because for me, it's visual, and that's why, you know, in the courses that we run here at TAFE, yeah, you can watch it, you can read about it, but by doing that face-to-face, hands-on, you know, like feeling it, seeing it, looking at it, that's the way to learn. I'm starting to feel that the chocolate is starting to thicken because I feel that there's some little lumps in there. And that is a sign that I'm starting to get beta stable crystals. Now, for this, I want to create a lot of beta stable crystals. And then I'll add that back into that hot chocolate that I've just got sitting there, and then I'll stir that together. And then what I'm hoping for is then I'm in that temperature range. And I can use that chocolate straight away. All right, that looks good. I'm going to add that. I'm going to take a temperature. And I've got my hot chocolate here. Great, 27. So I'm well and truly in that zone for creating beta stable. Now I'm just going to decant this directly into the hot chocolate. I'm going to grab it all, especially those little crystallized bits. That's great. And you can see well and truly that the chocolate is crystallized. That's a visual sign. The chocolate's thick and it's soft. Perfect for this technique. Turn my kettle down. Really, the job for this is just to keep the chocolate in temper. So essentially what I've done is I heated the chocolate up to 45. I've come all the way down here to 27 degrees, and I should have very thick and crystallized chocolate. So I'm just going to stir that through. You must have energy. So I'm just making sure all those edges are in. And I can feel it already. I can feel that it's starting to catch on the bottom. They're all the cues that tell me that the chocolate is crystallized. Now I take a temperature. That's why it's called tempering. Temperature is a big factor. It's telling me I've got 31.7. I'll take a sample. Sure, the sample is quite fine and thin. And the sample will tell me everything I need to know. It really tells me everything. I've followed the rules. I've heated the chocolate up. I've unpacked it. I've unpacked those 6 crystal forms. And then I've used movement, a lot of movement on this cold slab. So I get temperature and time. I get it into, I cooled that chocolate mass and the marble down to 27. So I created a lot of beta stable crystals. And the really extraordinary thing about crystallizing chocolate or that process of crystallizing chocolate is that once you have a crystal mass and your chocolate is in the right temperature zone, it will propagate the rest of the chocolate. Okay, and that leads into some other very modern ways now or more investigation on tempering, which is static tempering. And that's definitely a session to talk about that. And now I want to get a sample. I want to see what that's doing. So if I get lines, that's fat bloom. If it's nice and clear and it's set and I can touch it, it means that I have essentially crystallized that chocolate. Let's just give that a stir. And I can tell too, just by stirring, that I've got thick chocolate. Tempering chocolate is definitely about awareness. And it's very humbling. That's why for me, as a professional, I've been doing this chocolate for such a long time, but the reason I love it is because it's always a challenge. Now, I'm just going to give my marble a wipe down, especially this edge here, which presents problems with your apron when you rub up against it. Just removing most of the chocolate off this, and now I can start preparing for my Rocky Road. So for the Rocky Road, I've got 2 cake trays, 2 forms. Find this the best way to do it. That way, when I do portion it up, the sizes are equal, and I can control the size and the volume if I'm going to make that over and over again. So I'm going to add my marshmallows. So I've just got some nuts. I've got some raspberry crunchies in there. I've got raspberry marshmallow and also vanilla marshmallow, all rolled in coconut. And now I want to prepare my tray. I'm just going to paint some chocolate in there because I do want this to be like a square or a bar. I don't want any air bubbles or holes, so I do want to keep this as nice, square. This way they can be wrapped or presented. Side. And of course, this is waxed cardboard, so it will remove itself. Okay, just got a nice layer. Okay, just checking the chocolate, and I can see that it's starting to crystallize. I see it's drying on the side there. It's a good sign. Give it another stir. And just for consistency, I'm going to weigh the chocolate. So I don't want a lot of chocolate, so I've got 300 grams. I get 400. So it's exactly 400 grams. I can see my chocolate's just starting to set in my tray. And carefully fold these ingredients. I don't want to mush up the marshmallow. The marshmallow to stay as marshmallow. That looks good. Make sure the inclusions are coated, which is an important part of Rocky Road. Decant that. Flatten it out to the sides. Just tap it out so it gets nice and even. And now all I need to do is set that for cutting into bars. What I normally do with this is I like to go over the top. And that creates my nice square. Then I've got nice bars that I can cut.